and Reef. My siblings are Ike, Mike, Viola, Nick, Zena, Jean, Philippe, Fanny, and Faina. All are deceased except my sister Fanny, who still lives in Fairview. We are very grateful to be living in this beautiful country, Canada. My parents had so much faith. We're so thankful to be free. They were Tsarists, living under communism, and during the Bolshevik Revolution was a scary life. My mother's brother was shot in front of her because he would not join the Communist Party. The men would hear the horses coming, run to the haystack and hide. Women and children were spared. We probably know why. During World War I, Dad received the St. George's Cross for carrying a wounded soldier on his back. As he was carrying him, another bullet hit the wounded soldier in his back and through Dad's back. Realizing the officer was dead, he dropped him, and Dad, bleeding profusely, made it to an outpost for treatment. Sorry. He stayed there for 3 weeks. In the meantime, there was no communication between my mother and Dad, and not for 4 years until he came home. They were given a chance to escape from Russia, and so they did. I don't think they knew the man who helped them escape, nor why he didn't go with them. They're now on their way to Harbin, hidden in the hull of the boat behind a woodpile. The boat was checked for anyone trying to escape from Russia. My sister started to cry, and everyone wanted Mom to choke her. Instead, Mom put her breast to her and she stopped crying. Can you imagine being there? How are you feeling? Or how are you coping? From Harbin to Yokohama to the Empress. I'm sorry, but I have to. Oh, you don't swipe my nose. From Harbin to Yokohama to the Empress of Russia to Vancouver to Home Glen. Life in Canada was not easy, but they were free and happy. They lived in tents. Mom made a little money by washing clothes for some people on a washboard, and Dad went to work logging in the winter, besides working their own land. In 1929, they bought land and moved to Gage by train, taking all their belongings. And cattle. Dad even prefabricated a home. Life was good. Through all this, they had faith and were thankful to God for sparing their life. Sorry.
It's okay, Aunt Doreen.
That is why we are here today, celebrating. Thank you to Mike for his wonderful book, giving us the information as to why we are here. Through his charity with Mosaic, we have brought a family to Burnaby. It is very important for us to think of people today who are in the same situations our parents were in and need someone to sponsor them. That's why Mosaic is so important. My dad passed away in October 1953 at the age of 65. My mom passed away in October 1975 at the age of 81. I was born March 29, 1937 on the farm at Gage, Alberta, which is still farmed by my nephew. I attended school at Ranger until grade 8. I still have my desk, which is in my house in Campbell River. My dad built the school and made all the desks. They were made from spruce, I think, but I'm not sure, with dowels instead of nails. Ranger was situated between Fairview and Hines Creek and is about 2.5 miles from the farm. My first year, I had a teacher, Miss Senku. The next 4 years were by correspondence with the supervisor from grade 8 to 12. I attended school, Ferry High School, and graduated in 1955. Dad taught me to read and write Russian. Not too good at writing. I can still read a bit, but I don't know what it says. I have forgotten the Russian language, having not spoken it for 50 years. I remember during World War II, Dad had a huge map of the world hanging on the wall, and as he listened to the news on the radio, he would see where they were flying and bombing.
Oh. I think she's on page 3.
That's the last page.
Okay.
That's good. Thank you. In 1956, I married Lauren, known as Tuffy Calvert. We had 3 children. Bill, known as Lord William, lives in Campbell River. Douglas, who lives in Winnipeg, has 4 children and 4 grandchildren. Carol, who lives in Salmon Arm, has 2 children and 1 granddaughter. Bill and Carol are here today. They were all born in Fairview. Lawrence was in the sheet metal business in Fairview until August 1966, when we moved to Campbell River. He was employed by the Elk Falls Mill until his death, December 25th, 1970. Realizing I had to be the breadwinner, I began studies in the healthcare field. I became the department head of the health record department of the Campbell River Hospital for 27 years. I can't read upside down.
Susan.
In April 1980, I married Peter Riedijk and became stepmother to his 2 children, Corinne and Diane. Diane recently passed away. I had a very happy childhood with very loving parents. As a youngster, going to church in Hines Creek in the old Orthodox church was a highlight. We would go to Uncle Pete's by horses and wagon to stay overnight. What fun we had with our cousins. Church was always hours long. I don't remember who our priest was, but I know it wasn't Solovyov. To amuse ourselves, we would use candles to grow warts on our hands. So we put our candles over. I don't think we understood the service either. But we had to stand too. I remember the ball games we had in our yard on the farm. Relatives, friends, and neighbors all came, and Mom was always there, feeding everyone. No one ever left our house hungry. She had so much love for everyone. I remember we had baseball tournaments with different schools. We had sports meets. I walked to school in winter and summer. I also went to school in a cutter with a stone at my feet. Do you guys know what a cutter is?
Yeah, sure.
In the summer, I rode a horse chub. When I was 11, I took the job as janitor, lighting the pot-bellied stove in the school. After school, the floors were swept with dustpan. This was for $4 a month. The money was good, but the job was too hard, so I quit. Picking mushrooms after school, after a raid, was always a nice surprise for Mom. She cooked them to perfection. Mom and I packed a lunch. We went strawberry picking. Milking cows was a nightly chore. We raised sheep, and they had to be tended in a field about 2 miles from home. We raised sheep, and they had to be anyway, like a shepherd, I went off carrying my doll, a gun, and my lunch. The gun was to scare off the coyotes. In grade 8, I was bused to Fairview in a homemade box on the back of a truck driven by Victor Nassetkin. As I grew older, I helped Dad with harrowing, disking, and threshing. Hay season could have been fun, riding the bucking pole, but the smell of hay and the heat was sometimes unbearable. Does anybody know what the bucking pole was? Nobody knows?
Don't remember.
It was a wide thing like this, and you sat on the back of it and scooped up the haystacks.
Why don't you know that, Gary?
Never done that.
Oh.
We didn't have horses,
All the while I lived on the farm, we had no electricity, but we did have a phone. Our number was 2 long rings. I learned to drive the car when I was 14, driving under my mother's license, who could not drive. At 16, I got my own license. I still drive today.
I believe it.
Mom and Dad took me on trips to Rimbey and Port Alberni to visit friends and family. That was to visit the Asokins and the Mishikots. When I married Peter, we did a lot of traveling. We went to Belgium, Denmark, East Germany, West Germany, Holland, because my husband's Dutch, many times, Poland, Russia, Sweden, England, Mexico, California, Arizona, many of the states, plus Ottawa, Toronto, and Winnipeg. When we retired, we spent our winters in Yuma, Arizona. My traveling is not as much today, but Carol, my daughter, Richard, her husband, Bill, and I meet in Osoyoos in May for Mother's Day every year. I've had an interesting and good life. I've had a wonderful family who are so good to me. I had a good marriage of 38 years. Peter passed away 5 years ago. I have my special companion and friend, Spike. My little dog, some of you have seen him. He's a service dog, so you can't really come up and touch him and pet him. And he's a good dog. I hope I haven't bored you. My thanks and appreciation to the committee who worked so hard to put this reunion together. Thank you very much.